We've talked about that idea before, that the communication between the nerves is not unlike the wave in a sporting event. You have somebody who's got an idea. Hi, yeah, yeah, all right. Throwing their beer behind them, you know? And somebody else, yeah, all right. And then before, if it's like a pretty excited crowd, then it's like more and more people like, yeah. And you got the wave. And if it's a good wave, it can go around a couple times. Sometimes you see how many times it goes. That's just like what the neurons are doing. They may not throw their beer, but they get excited and they throw out their little neurotransmitters. And the next thing it goes, cool, I'll do that too. And then you get that action potential that goes around. The difference between genius, brilliance, and dementia is less than 1/10 of a second as far as that wave that's going around. So a little bit of slowdown has a huge price tag. Average as far as the speed it takes for an impulse to be transmitted is, it's like 0.4 seconds or so, 0.42 or 420 milliseconds, depending on where you like your decimals. But it's like 0.42 seconds for a great, you're on, you're brilliant, you're just firing on all circuits, literally. When you get below, I'm sorry, let's back that up, Lex, it needs to be shorter. About 0.32, so 1/3 of a second, literally. That message is flying, okay? By the time you get up to 0.4, you can't form a logical thought anymore. You lose the connection. So it's a very small change. So 0.32 would be your average, you're cooking, you're good. Okay? But by the time you get up to 0.4 or 0.42, you can't form thoughts anymore. So just thinking about that, how can we facilitate that? Well, as we said, we can make sure there's lots of routes to go. So, okay, this guy didn't pick up the wave, but that guy did. So it's still going to keep going around. We can make sure there's electrolytes, so you get what you need in order to polarize. Okay? Maybe you can think of this guy just bought the other guy a hot dog, so he's keeping it going here. Oh yeah, thanks. Oh, cool. Yeah. And another thing is just the idea of, you have techniques from the cranial work. You can do your neurofascial releases. You get rid of the resistance that is in between, because the more time it takes to jump over these bridges. So those wonderful techniques, the neurofascial releases that you learned first in myofascial release, then in cranial 3, and a few other places they've been sprinkled around, are wonderful. It's like you're helping with the pruning business. You're helping get rid of the scar tissue that is in the way of that transmission. So there's a lot of things we can do to help that. We're not at the mercy of an incredibly terrible thing that is going to overtake. There's a lot of options that